The house stood quietly at the edge of the village, its walls old but filled with memories. Two sisters lived there, Aisha and Sarah. Once, the house echoed with laughter, their mother's gentle voice, and their father's comforting footsteps. Now, silence ruled most days, broken only by the sound of the wind or the ticking of the clock. Aisha was the elder sister. She was only 22, but life had already carved lines of responsibility on her face. Her eyes were strong, yet tired, as if she had learned too early how to hide pain behind a calm smile. Sarah, 5 years younger, was different. She still carried softness in her heart, hope in her eyes, and dreams that reached far beyond the village roads. Their mother had passed away when Sarah was just 9. A few years later, their father followed her after a long illness. That day changed everything. Neighbors came, relatives cried, but when the rituals ended and the crowd disappeared, only the two sisters remained, alone with fear, grief, and an uncertain future. That night, Sarah sat quietly in the corner of the room, hugging her knees. Tears rolled down her cheeks without sound. Aisha watched her for a long moment, then walked over and wrapped her arms around her little sister. "I'm here," Aisha whispered. "You're not alone." Those words were not just comfort. They were a promise. From the very next week, Aisha made a decision that would change both their lives. She left her studies and went to the nearby town to find work. After many refusals, she finally learned sewing at a small tailoring shop. The work was hard, the pay was low, but she never complained. Every evening, she returned home with aching hands and tired feet, yet a gentle smile on her face. Sarah noticed everything. "Papa, you don't have to do so much," Sarah said one evening while helping her fold clothes. Aisha smiled. "I do this so you can study peacefully." Sarah wanted to argue, but the firmness in Aisha's voice stopped her. Deep inside, she felt both gratitude and guilt. Days turned into months. Sarah went to school, studied hard, and often topped her class. Teachers praised her, neighbors admired her, and everyone said the same thing: "Your sister is sacrificing so much for you." Sarah heard those words again and again. They felt heavy on her heart. One night, the electricity went out. The room was lit only by a small oil lamp. Sarah noticed Aisha soaking her hands in warm water. Her fingers were red and swollen. "Does it hurt?" Sarah asked softly. Aisha quickly pulled her hands out and smiled. "No, it's nothing." But Sarah knew it was not nothing. That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. She stared at the ceiling, listening to Aisha's slow breathing. A question kept repeating in her mind. How long can she protect me like this? A few weeks later, Aisha started coughing often. She ignored it, saying it was just tiredness. But one morning, she felt dizzy while working and nearly fainted. The shop owner told her to go home and rest. At home, Sarah noticed Aisha's pale face. "You should see a doctor," Sarah insisted. Aisha shook her head. "We can't afford that now. Your school fees are due next week." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "Why is everything always about me?" Aisha looked surprised. She held Sarah's face gently. "Because you are my world." Those words broke something inside Sarah. That night, Sarah cried silently, hiding her face in the pillow. She loved her sister more than anything, but she hated being the reason for her pain. The next morning arrived quietly, but Sarah's heart was loud with thoughts. Aisha was still asleep when Sarah woke up. She watched her sister's face, pale, tired, yet peaceful in sleep. For the first time, Sarah truly understood how much Aisha had given up for her. That day at school, Sarah could not focus. Her teacher's words sounded distant. All she could see was Aisha's swollen hands and hear her weak cough. During lunch break, Sarah sat alone under the old neem tree and made a decision she had been afraid to face. That evening, when Sarah returned home, she found Aisha trying to stitch clothes again. Her hands were shaking slightly. "Papa, please stop," Sarah said gently. Aisha looked up, surprised. "If I don't work, how will we manage?" Sarah took a deep breath. "I will work too." Aisha laughed softly, thinking Sarah was joking. "You are still a student." "I can study and work," Sarah replied firmly. "I can tutor younger children. I can help at the bookstore. I won't let you destroy your health for me." For a moment, Aisha said nothing. Her eyes filled with tears, but she quickly looked away. "No," she said quietly. "Your only job is to study." That night, Sarah did not argue further, but the next day, she acted. She spoke to a neighbor who needed help teaching her children in the evenings. The pay was small, but it was a start. After school, Sarah began tutoring 2 little boys. She came home tired, her school bag heavy and her feet sore, but her heart felt lighter. When Aisha found out, she was angry. Why did you do this without telling me? Aisha asked, her voice shaking. Because I knew you would say no, Sarah replied honestly. Just like I never had a choice when you decided to sacrifice everything for me. Aisha felt tears rise to her eyes. For the first time, she realized that her protection had slowly turned into silent control. Days passed. Sarah managed school and work with great effort. Slowly, Aisha reduced her hours at the tailoring shop and finally visited a doctor. The diagnosis was simple: extreme exhaustion. With rest and proper care, she would recover. The house felt different now. Even though money was still tight, the burden no longer rested on one pair of shoulders. Months later, Sarah received her final exam results. She had passed with excellent marks. She ran home, breathless, holding the paper in her hands. Aisha was sitting by the window, sunlight touching her face. I did it, Sarah said, her voice trembling. Aisha stood up and hugged her tightly. This time, she did not hide her tears. I always knew you would. That evening, they cooked together, laughing softly. It was the first time in years that the house felt warm again. Sarah placed her first small earning on the table. This is for us. Aisha held the money, then held Sarah's hands. We survived because we stood together. The sisters understood something important that day. Love does not mean carrying all the pain alone. Sometimes, love means letting others share it.